I remember I was in therapy when I was in my early 30s. I was in therapy for most of my life. But anyway, I was in therapy when I was in my early 30s specifically. And my therapist would talk about how friendships are like islands of intimacy. So you
Uh,
pull your little boat up and dock on an island for a season. And often you then sail away and you may not return to that island. And I think we have these kinds of expectations for some of the girl shows, we watch on TV or something and think, this is going to be Steel Magnolias or Fab Five, forever. And many times it's not. Many times it's for a season and we learn in that season how to be a friend, or we make a friend with people and then we might keep one and continue to grow with them. It just depends. I think it's very different. There are a group of women, one has since died and gone to be with Jesus early, and we were so sad. But there were five of us from leadership in MOPS International, and we've all been gone for 20 years, but we still gather. So I think there is great grief when you lose each other. And a couple of things about that is to take with you, like in a backpack, if you picture that island illustration, the lessons you've learned from how to be a friend and maybe not how not to be a friend. What did you learn that didn't work, that was not healthy? And then also there's an intentionality in going back and checking in. And, even if it's been, I'm sure it's like this with you and your mom's friends, even if it's been 10 years, you can pick it
mhm.
up. You know
Yeah.
what the struggle was with bedwetting or with, they wouldn't eat certain foods or whatever that seemed
Yeah.
like the end of the universe. And you do forge a bond that is not easily broken and you can go back and pick it up again.
Yeah. I went on a girls trip with my college friends a few years ago now. We're overdue for another one. But it was just like that. We're like, we haven't seen each other for years. We'll text obviously and like
Yeah.
Marco Polo back and forth, but to be together for a whole weekend, it had been a really long time, but it felt like it had been yesterday. Because we
Yeah.
bonded a lot in college. We learned how to be adults together. So you have that bond and then it just carries through. I like that. But it is painful to because there are people that you think you're gonna be friends with forever.
I
Like
know.
that's just gonna be what it is. And then it shifts. And I like that idea of the backpack and you take what you learned and you bring that with you into the next friendship. And it doesn't always mean it was bad. It just means it was for a season. But that's hard to remember.
And I think to obey that nudge too, in fact, I just did this right before I got on this conversation with you, Steph. I remembered, oh, so and so who I just met a year ago texted me last weekend and I didn't respond to her and I hardly know her. But I thought she took some time to do that. I need to respond to her, and
Mhm.
or maybe it's I need to reach out to so and so, and if they don't ever respond back, okay, I felt the nudge and I followed it. I obeyed it. Yeah. You never know.
Yeah. Yes. I was just so my dear friend Crystal, she goes to church with us and our daughter's our friend. And I really pulled back from a lot of friendships when I started working because I had to figure out how to work and be focused on my family. And it was very lonely for me because I'm usually very social. And like, I have told her how much it meant to me, but invited me to a birthday tea. And I went and I just said, "You know what? Like, I haven't been invited to anything for a really long time."
Precious.
And it just meant the world to me that you thought of me. And she's like, "You know what? I wasn't going to because I thought this is during the weekday and you're probably really busy working and you have other things to do, but the Holy Spirit said invite her, and I didn't know it was going to mean so much to you." But it really like gave me a little bit of hope that I need to cling on because of her obedience to the Spirit. So,
Isn't that wild? And to do it on
yes.
the flip flop of that example, I remember when I was newly married and I was just starting in ministry and I was speaking, and my best friend who had been in my wedding was getting married, and she did not ask me to be in her wedding. And
Uh,
I was just floored. And I called her and I said, "Why didn't you ask me to be in her wedding?" I mean, just like we had that kind of relationship. She
yeah.
said, "I just thought you were too busy." I said,
Mhm.
"But you could ask and let me decide." And she realized she was afraid of rejection. It's just
Uh,
we get so wonky, don't we? Anyway,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, because no one wants to be rejected. Everybody wants to protect themselves and just make it easier. Relationships are hard enough. We have husbands and kids to deal with. You're like, let's
Yeah,
make the friendships easier.
yeah.
But they're so important. Okay, well, this is anyone who's listening and is feeling a nudge by the Holy Spirit. This is us telling you
It's for
to
you.
obey.
Here's the
This is
catapult.
for you. Go text a friend that you've been meaning to reach out to because it might make a really big difference for them.
Yeah.
So pause now, go text, and then come back.